You ever seen a courtroom laugh at a girl's voice like her words were less valid just because they came with a southern drawl? It wasn't the words that shook them. It was the fact she knew exactly what she was saying. And by the time the judge finally shut his mouth, everyone realized they had underestimated the wrong girl. Her name was Celeste Vaughn, 16 years old, raised in the lower Ninth Ward of Louisiana. She wasn't rich. She wasn't polished. She didn't come with a lawyer. She came with a notebook, a stack of printed laws, and the quiet kind of rage that only grows when justice keeps missing your front porch. The day it started, the sun hadn't even cooled from the afternoon. Celeste had just stepped off the school bus, backpack, heavy paper in her hand, still grinning from the A+ she got on her mock trial report. Her brother Zion waved from the porch, basketball in hand, yelling something about dinner until the sirens came. 2 white officers rolled up slow. Not fast like a chase, no urgency, just that kind of slow dread that knows exactly who it's coming for. They didn't ask questions, didn't even let her set her bag down. Celeste Vaughn. "Yes, sir. You're under arrest for obstruction of justice." Her mom, still in her scrubs from a 12-hour nursing shift, screamed. Zion dropped the ball. Celeste froze. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just asked softly, "Why?" But no one answered. Not at the station. Not in the white-bricked interrogation room with flickering lights and a chair that rocked like it was daring her to break. Instead came Assistant DA Morris Kincaid, slick hair, cheap cologne, cocky tone. "You like pretending to be a lawyer, huh? I helped a friend write a complaint letter. That's not a crime. That friend is a suspect in a federal investigation," he sneered. "And now so are you." Celeste met his eyes. Steady, calm, like she wasn't just a scared girl in a borrowed hoodie. "That's what the truth does, sir," she said. "It complicates lies." He leaned back, smirked. "This can go away. Plead out, do some community service no one will remember." But she didn't flinch. She reached into her bag and pulled out a crumpled printout of Gideon v. Wainwright. "The Sixth Amendment gives me the right to counsel, but I can also waive that right and represent myself." Kincaid blinked just once, and the smile vanished. By the time she got bail, the whispers had already begun. "Did you hear she's taking it to trial? She thinks she's smart. She talks like a cartoon character. Even her own teachers pulled her aside." "Sweetheart, you're brilliant. But this system, it's not built for girls like you." Celeste just nodded. But behind closed doors, she sharpened. While her classmates went to prom fittings, she downloaded PDFs on criminal procedure. While TikToks trended, she memorized Louisiana versus Walters. While others slept, she highlighted, printed, circled, underlined. Not to survive, to win. And that courtroom. It didn't welcome her. It swallowed her whole. Fluorescent lights buzzing. Polished tile too clean to feel real. She walked in with her head high school blazer straight, her mama's old pearl earrings dangling like quiet weapons. Her fingers trembled, but her eyes didn't blink. The judge, Roderick Stiles, was in his 60s. Silver hair, smug tone, reputation for no nonsense. He peered over his glasses when she confirmed she'd rejected legal counsel. "Where you from, young lady? I'm having trouble understanding your dialect." The courtroom laughed. Not loud, but loud enough. A juror smirked. The bailiff coughed to hide a grin. Even the stenographer froze, her fingers caught between duty and discomfort. And in that moment, one voice rose. "Objection, Your Honor," said a soft voice in the back, Maya Chen, a junior clerk assigned to help with transcripts. "She's answering clearly. Her accent shouldn't be up for debate." The judge turned sharply. "Miss Chen, that was not your place." The silence that followed, it cracked something in the air. Maya's eyes dropped, her fists clenched around her pen. But she didn't speak again. She just sat down, slow, ashamed, and silent. And when Celeste looked back at her, Maya met her eyes just once, an apology without words. But the crowd, they weren't with her. They chuckled, whispered. One woman muttered, "Why they always gotta act like victims?" Another man added, "Ain't this a waste of taxpayer money?" The pack had picked their side, until she spoke. "Good morning." Celeste began facing the jury. "My name is Celeste Vaughn. I'm 16 years old. I live in the lower ninth. And by the time this trial ends, you'll understand every word I say. That was just the beginning. Tomorrow we'll follow Celeste into the second day of court, where she exposes lies, shatters bias, and confronts a system that never expected a black teen girl with an accent to fight back and win. If you're ready for that moment, stick around. because it only gets louder from here. Celeste Vaughn didn't come back the next day to plead. She came back to pull the truth into the light, even if it scorched the courtroom bare. She was there before the lights came on, before the doors opened, hair tied in a perfect bun, sleeves rolled up, that same legal pad hugged tight to her chest like armor passed down through generations. And when the judge walked in, stern as ever, lips thinner than yesterday, Celeste didn't look away. She stared straight ahead as if she'd spent the night not sleeping, but sharpening. Prosecutor Morris Kincaid strutted in like a man who hadn't lost grip yet. He held a thick manila folder and a smirk that said, "This is still my courtroom." But his eyes, they flickered. Not fear exactly, more like unease pretending to be confidence. Because he knew. She'd rattled him yesterday, and today she'd be louder. The first witness was Officer Harding, the one who cuffed her without a word. Miss Vaughn drafted a document that misdirected our investigation. He declared calm, like reciting weather. She attempted to interfere. Celeste rose before the sentence finished. "Objection, Your Honor, assumption, not fact." Judge Stiles raised an eyebrow, but he didn't dismiss her. "Proceed, Miss Vaughn." He sighed. She stepped forward, held up a sheet. "This is time-stamped security footage from 2:45 p.m. I was still at school. Officer Harding wasn't present when Mr. DeMarcus submitted this complaint, so unless he developed the power to time travel or read minds, he's guessing. And the law, last I checked, doesn't sentence children on guesses." Gasps, murmurs, a few chuckles. Even the juror who smirked yesterday leaned forward in his seat, arms uncrossed now. Celeste turned to the gallery, her voice still steady but her hands trembling ever so slightly. "This courtroom laughed at me yesterday, for how I sound, for where I'm from. But they didn't laugh at the law. And that's all I brought with me." Morris Kincaid looked tight in the jaw now, like a man gripping a rope that kept slipping. He turned sharp and called his surprise witness, Ms. Evelyn DuPont, former principal of Celeste's middle school. She stepped up with a click of heels and the kind of smile that always meant trouble. She was argumentative, DuPont said coolly. She challenged teachers, constantly refused to listen unless it suited her. Celeste's eyes narrowed, but she didn't interrupt. She waited. When it was her turn, she approached slowly, quiet, no paper in hand this time. "Ms. DuPont," she said, voice soft. "Do you remember the essay I turned in about police violence, about Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor?" DuPont looked uncomfortable now. "I don't recall every student's work. You gave me a D." Celeste said, voice rising ever so slightly. Said it was too emotional, said it made others uncomfortable. She turned to the jury. "All I ever disrupted was silence, the kind that protects people who don't want to listen." And that's when it shifted. The court clerk Maya clenched her jaw. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she stayed quiet, pen trembling. Even the bailiff who snorted the day before stood rigid now, his arms crossed, but his eyes lowered. The crowd that mocked her yesterday, some turned red, some shifted uncomfortably, and one man, the same one who joked what a waste, got up and left. Because shame sits louder when truth fills a room. Then came the final blow. Celeste stood for her closing, pulled a chair right in front of the jury and sat down. She didn't speak right away, just looked at each face, slowly, eyes tired, back straight, shoulders squared in that chair, the exact model she was handcuffed in. "This," she whispered, tapping the seat, "is where I was when they said I was a criminal. Not in a meeting, not at a garage, just coming home from school." Her fingers tightened. They saw a girl from the lower ninth black, loud, too smart for her own good, and decided that was enough. She stood quiet, deliberate, voice lifting now like the swell of a song no one can stop. "They called me arrogant, but it's not arrogance to speak up. They called me dangerous, but the only danger I posed was refusing to be silent." She looked straight at Judge Stiles, his expression unreadable now. "And if using my voice puts me on trial, then maybe this courtroom isn't judging me. Maybe it's judging itself." The silence was unbearable. Even Morris Kincaid didn't look up. Because the truth once spoken with nothing but raw cutting clarity, it doesn't echo. It stays. It stains. Outside, news vans swarmed. Hashtags trended. Hashtag let her speak flooded feeds. Local officials began backpedaling. The mayor issued a vague statement. And the police chief. He called for an internal review. 2 hours too late. But inside that courtroom, still air heavy with something sacred, Celeste stood when the verdict was read. "We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty." The breath she didn't know she was holding broke from her chest. Her knees buckled, but her mother caught her, just like always. "You did it?" her mama whispered, voice cracking. Celeste, still trembling, just nodded, eyes wide, tears silent. Across the room, Morris Kincaid stood frozen, folder clutched, jaw tight, eyes blank. But inside him something broke. Not regret. No, not the kind that softens. This was the regret of a man who'd lost to a girl he'd dismissed before she ever spoke. And instead of learning, he resented it. He walked out, no apology. Just the silence of someone who'd rather live in denial than face what the mirror showed. Celeste turned once more to the crowd, camera lights flashing, phones up, voices buzzing. She didn't pose, she didn't smile, she just said calm and plain. "This wasn't just for me, it was for every student who's been told to change their voice, for every girl told to stay quiet, for every neighborhood told to sit down and take it. I hope today they saw what happens when we don't." Then she walked out, shoulders square, head high, into the blinding light. You think it ended there? Hours later, on the courthouse steps, Detective Harding approached her out of uniform. He hesitated, looked away, then back. "I was wrong," he said. "Didn't see you clearly until today." Celeste stared at him, quiet. Her jaw shifted. Her eyes didn't blink. "You didn't see me," she replied, "because you weren't looking." And she turned, disappearing into the crowd. "So now I ask you, was justice served, or did she just get lucky? What about the next girl, the next accent? What would have happened if she had stayed quiet? You tell me, who was right, who was wrong? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe stories like this matter, like, share, and subscribe. Justice doesn't spread itself.